Hello, friends. So, Bible study, the NIV, Acts, chapter 27. We are going to go through 1 through 20 today. Do you believe? Yes. There you go. 1 through 20. Yep, there we are. Right there. Okay, so Paul sails for Rome. That's what this one is called. Chapter 27, verse 1. When it was decided that we would sail for Italy, Paul and some other prisoners were handed over to a centurion named Julius, who belonged to the imperial regiment, which I suppose is why this sounds very, third person, but not. Like, as it's a first person, he's saying we, right? Like he's there with Paul, but he's not Paul. Of course, I've been informed recently that when I'm not thinking about it, I will say we when I'm talking about me and, creator are going to go do something together. So maybe it's just like that kind of thing. We boarded a ship from, so this is Adramyttium, Adramyttium, about to sail for ports along the coast of the province of Asia, and we put out to sea. Aristarchus, this is a person, Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica, was with us. The next day, we landed at Sidon. So that's Greek, that area right there. And Julius, in kindness to Paul, allowed him to go to his friends so that they might provide for his needs. So they let him leave the ship to go visit friends. Because remember, according to the Roman people, they're like, you haven't done anything illegal. You're here for your protection. If you think you can go visit, you can, be safe and go visit those friends, go ahead. He's only on this ship because he has to speak to the emperor. And they were like, okay. Which, can you imagine? That's because that's the equivalent for us of going, I want to speak to the president. And when does that happen? Right? From there, we put out to sea again and passed to the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us. When we had sailed across the open sea to the coast of Sicilia and Pamphylia, we landed at Myra in Lycia. There, the centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy and put us on board. We made slow headway for many days and had difficulty arriving off Cnidus. And I'm saying it that way because it's C-N, which to me, because of Viking background, that's like Canute. So, I-D-U-S, so Cnidus. When the wind did not allow us to hold our course, we sailed to the lee of Crete, opposite of Salmon. We moved along the coast with difficulty and came to a place called Fair Havens near the town of Lasea, or Lycia, L-A-S-E-A. Lycia as well could be. Much time had been lost, and sailing had already become dangerous because by now it was after the fast. After the day of atonement, after Yom Kippur. That's a Jewish holiday of fasting. So Paul warned them, men, I can see that our voyage is going to be disastrous and bring great loss to the ship and cargo, and to our own lives also. But the centurion, instead of listening to what Paul had said, followed the advice of the pilot and the owner of the ship, which I'm going to be honest here. In most cases in life, if you are that centurion, you are going to listen to the people with the experience in the field that you're depending upon them to give you the service in. And not really going to be listening to this random Jewish man that you were just ordered to take someplace. I mean, we would have all made this choice. That kind of trust you're talking about there, that takes rapport. So that takes time. Technology disobeying in the background again. It likes to activate when I'm talking to you guys. It's used to the sound of my voice because I dictate to it. Right? So it thinks it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I think I saw Willow in the background there. Yeah. I saw the hummingbird flying around out there. She likes to come visit. Since the harbor was unsuitable to winter in, the majority decided that we should sail on, hoping to reach Phoenix and winter there. Look at that. They wanted to be snowbirds. I live in Tucson, Arizona. There's a lot of people who come to Phoenix for the winter from other places. Snowbirds, that's what we call them. This was a harbor in Crete, facing both southwest and northwest. Well, it's an interesting harbor. This next part is called the storm. Verse 13, with a gentle south wind began to blow. When a gentle wind, when a gentle south wind began to blow, they thought they had obtained what they wanted. So they weighed anchor and sailed along the shore of Crete. Before very long, a wind of hurricane force called the nor'easter. Oh, they're not going anywhere. Swept down from the island. I'm familiar with the nor'easter. I grew up in New Jersey. The ship was caught by the storm and could not head into the wind. Naturally, you're not stronger than Creator. Sorry. It's just how that is. So we gave way to it and we're driven along. That's kind of funny, actually, because I was just watching. I thought I had watched the complete episode of this final episode in of Discovery, but as it turns out, apparently I just kept falling asleep and I'd missed like 20 minutes of the end. So, because I kept put it back on. I'm like, but okay, fine. And I put it back on. But in that final episode, you actually deal with hurricane force winds. She uses the hurricane force winds to give her the lift she needs, mechanical engineering term, the lift she needs in order to climb out of the progenitor's tech to get at the thing. And then we find out that who we think is a progenitor is not really a progenitor. Isn't that interesting? As it's a bunch of portals too, into each individual world. And that was one of the things I was thinking about when I was watching that episode, because there is this one scene in which this brain just gets flung off in this world where there's the hurricane force winds are, and I'm just like, now somewhere in that world is some poor confused person going to come across this alien just that does not belong there, with his motorcycle helmet on, because you can't see the brain's face. And these look like lizard aliens, and they're just going to find him there. Out of nowhere. And they're just going to be very confused. Unless, of course, he lives, in which case they're going to be dead. And that's so great. That's wonderful. As we passed to the lee of the small island called Cauda, we were hardly able to make the lifeboat secure. When the men had hoisted it aboard, they passed the ropes under the ship itself to hold it together, fearing that we would run aground and the sandbars of Syrtis, Syrtis. They lowered the sea anchor and let the ship be driven along, because you can't fight the wind, so you're just going to go where they are. So stop trying to fight them at all. Lower the sails so they don't get ruined. You don't need that force against your mast where you can make it crack. So just lower it and hope you survive. This is basically like, there by the grace of God go we, that you see in every movie that has a sailing ship ever. We took such a violent battering from the storm that the next day they began to throw the cargo overboard. He did say there was going to be a loss of property, right? On the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. So these are things that they need to repair the ship if anything breaks along the way. And they just chucked it overboard because they're afraid that, it's going to be what throws them off balance. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, the storm continued raging. We finally gave up all hope of being saved. So there, by the grace of God, go we indeed. And that's the thing, is we forget as we go about our life and we start thinking about what's in our control, what's not in our control, what we can do, what we can't do. Right? Wanting things, standing in the room full of people who just act like garbage and going, why can't you just be better people, instead of doing something proactive like finding the room you actually belong in. The reality is, our entire existence from the day we're born to the day we die is there by the grace of God go we. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Right? Deal with the 3D inputs that are in front of you. Keep yourself calm, centered, and looking up. It's supposed to be a one-on-one relationship between you and him. It's not supposed to be you and him and everybody else in the room. He's supposed to be like your best friend. Paul had all this protection from Jesus because the moment he understood who Jesus was, he made Jesus his best friend. And Jesus is literally the kind of best friend that is the definition of ride or die. Or in this case, ride and die. And ride some more. Right? You can't really get better than that. Can your best friend resurrect themselves to come back and protect you after they're gone? Because Paul's could. Mine can.